Well, hi everyone. My name is Tiffany Bigham, and I'm the Executive Director at the Martin Luther King Fame Community Center right here in the Central District. Welcome to NAAM's Interactive Story Time, where we will be reading More Than a Princess by Delanda and Terrence Coleman, illustrated by Beatrice Mello. This is kind of a full circle moment for me because when I was this young lady's age, I really struggled with reading, and I'm just very excited to be here today to read with you. So let's get into it. More Than a Princess. Princess Kiana was lying in bed. "Life in the castle is boring," she said. "I've got many things, but I need something more. There's so much more out there I have yet to explore. I wish I could find something more I could do." Then suddenly someone appeared out of the blue. Her fairy godmother. Oh my, what a sight. She fluttered around, her wings in elegant flight. "My darling Kiana, I've come from afar to help you realize just how special you are. You wouldn't believe all the things you can do. Nothing can stop a smart princess like you." "Well," said the princess with a smile on her face, "I wonder sometimes, what's it like up in space?" "An astronaut, how exciting," the fairy replied. "Follow my lead and I'll be your guide. You'll learn about science, you'll study and read. With practice, you'll get all the skills that you'll need. Aboard a space shuttle, you'll zoom through the sky and watch the stars twinkle as you're whizzing by. On the space station, there's no time to rest. You'll work with your crew and carry out tests. Everyone there will be ever so bright. They'll pilot, fix stuff, even launch satellites. You might even be the first princess on Mars. With passion and work, you can reach for the stars. You wouldn't believe all the things you can do. Nothing can stop a smart princess like you." Wow, that was a great intro. We got Princess Kiana going into space, wondering what could be. That sounds like me. Maybe even you. Let's see what else she has in store and what else she'll do. Kiana was thrilled. This trip was such fun. "What else would you like to explore, little one?" "Being a doctor," said Kiana out loud. "Healing my patients would make me proud." "Great," said the fairy. "Now follow my lead. Let's see what it's like to help people in need." The two were now back with their feet on the ground in a room full of doctors, all running around. The fairy godmother said, "Look at them go! A day for a doctor is never too slow. You'll visit your patients and ask how they feel. You'll do all you can to help all of them heal. You'll diagnose and treat. You'll comfort and care. You'll talk to your patients to make them aware. You might wear a stethoscope to listen to hearts or help to fix bones that are broken apart. You wouldn't believe all the things you could do. Nothing can stop a smart princess like you." Kiana was excited. "Can we try some more?" "Of course," said the fairy. "What shall we explore?" "I'd like to see how engineering is done. Planning and building sound ever so fun." "Good choice," said the fairy. "Come on now, let's go. I'll show you the things that you will need to know." Engineers can design and devise many things, from robots and bridges to strong airplane wings. You'll choose in which area you should specialize. You could build new machines that will change people's lives. You could help make new highways, long tunnels or roads, or design cool computers to decipher codes. You can help out our planet become great and very green by making green energy through new machines. You wouldn't believe all the things that you can do. Nothing can stop a smart princess like you. "This is so great," said the princess with a cry. "So," said the fairy, "what else should we try?" "Being an artist sounds exciting to me. I'd love to showcase my art for people to see. Okay, said the fairy godmother, let's start. Let's see what it takes to make beautiful art. There are so many things that artists can design: a product, an advert, a card, or a sign. You might work with colors of each shade and hue. Your artwork will show your unique point of view. Your creativity will express what you feel in your heart. Everyone will get lost in your beautiful art. They'll come from afar to admire what you've made. Your canvas and prints will be proudly displayed. You wouldn't believe all the things that you can do. Nothing can stop a smart princess like you. But now we must go before your parents awake. Here's my advice that I'd like you to take. Work very hard throughout all your years. Don't get discouraged or stopped by your fears. Do all your work with great dedication. Though things might get tough, have no hesitation. You wouldn't believe all the things that you can do. Nothing can stop a smart princess like you. There now was a princess with a vision in hand who knew she'd achieve whatever she planned. She'd grow to become a princess like no other, thanks to the help of her fairy godmother. And that, everyone, is More Than a Princess. Well, thank you so much for joining our interactive story time with NAAM. You can check out a new story every second Sunday of the month. Thanks again. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Tiffany Bigham, and I'm the Executive Director at the Martin Luther King Fame Community Center. And I'm taking over this lovely interview as part of the NAAM interactive storytelling series. Earlier, we read a book called More Than a Princess, which talks about a young lady looking to see what all exists in the world in terms of the possibilities of career, the possibilities of the future. And as we look at women and we look at us as more than princesses, we have so much to offer. And that's kind of where we landed here today with Miss Veronica Berry. And we're just in the WOW studio at the Pacific Place. This gallery, I have no words. I think the words wouldn't do it justice. It is probably the most beautiful place here, period. But I just wanted to say I'm so grateful to be here, and thank you so much for having us. So we're just going to talk a little bit about the gallery and just kind of about your journey and your story and anything you would like to share. So I want you to tell us about the WOW Gallery. Tell us about the Dear Sister experience and everything that's kind of led you to this point.
Everything? So it's a journey beginning in Seattle, where it was difficult seeing myself, right? I think we rank like 3% of the population, and in a nation that already seeks to invisibilize us.
Sure.
And that narratives like that of, Princess, that Princess is offering and that WOW Gallery is offering, we have to strain and seek and be intentional about finding.
Absolutely.
And so when I found myself in a career where I was organizing delegations of so-called women leaders, I say so-called because I didn't see anyone who looked like me. And I became very convicted about that, convicted that I wanted to be sure that little girls who look like me could see themselves and find resources and experiences that show them, share them in the high place without straining to see and find those narratives.
Yeah.
Reframing, redirecting, intentionally inserting, taking up space unapologetically to share our stories, our brilliance, our power, our beauty, right? So while on my last trip with those women, I got this vision. And the vision was to create, I was in South Africa, and the vision was to create sacred space for Black women and girls to find their voice, stand in their truth, and tell their story. And create a proliferation of stories and narratives that are healing, educating, and inspiring, so that, you know, we could begin branding ourselves instead of allowing someone to brand us. So what that meant is I ended up moving back to Seattle in 2016, sharing with this vision with a girlfriend. That girlfriend told me, you need to call Hiawatha. You know, have you created your marketing materials? And I said, no, I haven't yet. And so I called Hiawatha to see, you know, if he was interested in helping co-create this brand with me. You know, design the brand, basically make the website and design the logo. And while we were co-creating and designing the brand, we were co-relating and connecting. And it was Wonder of Women, this vision to create sacred space for Black women and girls that essentially birthed our love. So Wonder of Women really is a Black love story.
Yeah. And we love a love story. Only because love stories, especially as it pertains to Black women, it's not one that you see very often.
Seattle.
And especially not in Seattle as much. I remember growing up thinking like I would see a lot more mixed race couples. I would see a lot more Black women that were more on the solo dolo tip. But it was rare to see a Black couple outside of spaces that were intended for that, say like Jack and Jill or you know, other Black organizations that were happening, but it just was not as
common.
Yeah, it was a little bit far and few between. Okay, so a love
so that's how it went
down.
And while we were creating the brand, Hiawatha looked over at me and said, you know, this isn't really what I do. And
I love that.
And I said, well, what do you do then?
Okay.
And he said, I paint. And I said, oh, you do? Well, where's your stuff? And I looked, he pointed over, you know, to his art, this art collection that he had just painted. Do you know that collection was the Black Love collection that he just painted right before we met?
Wow.
He just curated a Black Love art show at the EMP.
And what did that mean to, just like as a Black woman living in Seattle, you move back here, you fall in love, and you learn that he was already on this sort of trajectory in which you guys were bound to collide. So what did that mean to know that that was already something that he had that conscientiousness about, or you know, what did that mean?
Well, it felt like I had found a diamond, a needle in a haystack. It really did. I mean, I came back from the East Coast where, you know, 85% Black folks. Like, I felt like a kid in a candy store. I felt like I had found myself, you know. came back from Africa and all these various places that I had traveled and actually experienced communities where I saw me. So when I came back to Seattle in 2016, I was kicking and screaming.
Yeah.
Because I was, you know.
You became accustomed to something, yes.
And I knew I didn't want to be by myself. I knew that there was a life for me with a partner for me who reflected me back to me, right? So, you know, Seattle really got, that's what we doing.
I love it.
So, you know, I just couldn't believe it. And when he and I were designing and creating the brand, I wasn't, you know, it was a business relationship.
Sure.
But we were having serious conversation. We were having conscious conversation. And when I discovered that his entire body of work was dedicated, his whole profile is of Black folks in the high place, right?
You said yes, please. Yes, we will be doing this work together. Oh,
But I
love
immediately asked him, I said, okay, this is fantastic, this is powerful, this is wonderful, but have you ever painted, listen now, have you ever painted a collection that pays homage to Black women? You know, so much, you know, to say that when you've done that,
Yes.
I bask in being able to shine a light on a Black woman's story.
Absolutely.
I bask in being able to create space for her to heal, you know, space for her to feel safely, right? For her to sit in the light of her truth, for her to experience love that is pure and unadulterated and centered in her culture. I bask in that. That brings me joy and it heals me. It does, it heals me. I lost my daughter when we were creating this, you know, in 2017. And had not it been for this work, I may have died. Had not it been for this Black love that I experienced, I would have died. Because I like to die. Like, people say that, you know, casually, like, you know, it's not, I really like to die, for real. She was my princess.
Absolutely.
You know? So it was important for me that Hiawatha, that his work be celebrated and appreciated in our city, in our museum, Northwest African American Museum, right? That's important to me. I think it's important for us to, because a lot of times, you know, people can't see you till they can't see you.
Till it's too late.
Right? I'm thankful that I was intentional about my princess. You know, that I leaned into her, that I listened to her, that I learned from her, you know, and she listened and learned and experienced my love, right? So I don't feel incomplete. And so in terms of just really this work and how it served me, it's both and, you know?
I do.
It's healing and an assignment. Deeper even than that is a knowing inside of me that is my purpose, my assignment. You know, that's my knowing. What I must accomplish to leave a legacy. It convicts me, it wakes me up in the morning. It inspires me, it moves me. And that is set in the context of being a Black woman, in Black family, in Black culture, knowing our journey, our history, our story, and learning and being exposed to how brilliant and powerful and amazing we are, you know, and refusing to allow the way in which we've been branded otherwise to be the story that I stand in and the story that I leave for future generations. That motivates me. That's my heart. That's my passion. I embody that knowing. You know, that divinity that is inside of me that was deposited in my mother's womb, right?
Yeah.
That said, you need to be in the world at such a time as this for this. That motivates me. And for me, that's creating this framework. This is a culmination of that assignment, right?
Yeah.
To create a framework that centers Black women, that elevates Black love, that helps us lean into a framework that is not a colonized framework that says you're supposed to do this or you're supposed to do that, or you have to be this or you have to be that. You gotta go this way and don't go that way, right? You know how they put us in this,
absolutely,
you know,
yes.
and pecking order, like this is what you're supposed to do, and you stay in that line. Now, don't you get out of that box,
Yeah.
right? Now, don't you show up too Black now, right? So in here, in this space, our Blackness is amplified intentionally.
Yes.
I want us to see us. I want us to remember us. I want us to feel us and experience us, right?
Yeah.
And have us reflected back to us so we can fall in love with us again.
Just being like part of, in a small way, this interactive storytelling series. I'm just really excited for other people to get kind of the experience that I've been getting in this space. So I would love for you to tell us about, you know, hours of operation, where we can find you.
So you can go to dearsista.com. That is Sista, DEARSISTA.com, dearsista.com. And all of the information is there. We're open Thursday through Sunday from noon to 7 p.m. currently with these pandemic hours. We host space and place for events, special occasions. We do classes and we do circles, healing circles. It is a proliferation of healing, inspiration, and education in this place, and you need to bring everyone. You need to bring your family, you need to bring your girlfriends, you need to bring your colleagues, right? So they can come and lean into some of this Blackness, right?
Hey, please come. It is quite luxurious in here. And more so than that, it's really just a welcoming, inviting place. So bring your friends, bring your family, as she said, and thank you so much for joining us today.